look for knockouts, and that's not the case. You know, I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, well, I'm here. Who wants to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles. Body work,
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. Man, I just want to get into some things today and put some more stakes in the ground. You know, obviously, I guess we can always get a pulse of when boxing is bland or nothing going on, or some people's perspective. It was a lot of things that I've been watching and trying to pay attention to and keep tabs on as it relates to our talent, you know, our resources. You know, it's funny how a lot of people, they can understand when somebody can say, oh man, people just be picking on Africa. They just be going in there and using the resources of the land and then mining it out or selling it and all that. They can understand that. But they can't understand an individual like myself saying, hold up now. hold on, there youth. Where you going with all our talent, man? Where you going with all our talent? You taking people from New York, you taking people from New Jersey, you taking people from Philly, San Antonio, Cali. I mean, where you going with all our talent, man? What are you trying to do? Like, what are your true intentions? And I remind myself that I had to be diligent and stubborn in my goal, my lane. And I'll remind you, if it's your first time here or if you're listening to the playback, that I'm not trying to be the Drake of this. More like the Lloyd Banks of this. Meaning I can walk away from this. You know, I love this sport. You know what I'm saying? So I just give it from my perspective, man. And part of it is timekeeping, date keeping. You know, I call it, or I try to camouflage it as, you know, putting stakes in the ground. And it's a lost art because we got a lot of boxing historians who know this, can recite everything from memory, but there aren't really many people that really have any respect for the recent times and the recent things that's been going on, and really able to remove their emotions or who they're rooting for and still get the job done. I'm here to tell you that a lot of these sources have been compromised. A lot of these sources are trying to be what a lot of people are vying for outside of the sport of boxing, which is attention and entertainment. Yes, this is entertainment. Yes, this is part of the bread and circuses. Yes, this is the circus. Yes, to a certain extent. Yes, it is. A portion of it is. But if you want to maintain the integrity of it, if you want to have any kind of resemblance of what it was and how it started and how we're going to pass the torch, somebody got to sit down and put stakes in the ground. So that if you do have, because a lot of people are going to be swayed by whoever puts the media out. I tell everybody all the time, he who controls the printed page controls the thinking of this age. So if you got a voice, you know, if you have an echo chamber, if you have a bunch of crash dummies or AKA minions out here running around and you program them wrong, somebody like me gonna have to come out here and fix them. But at the same time, I'll have to do my job and keep putting stakes in the ground, reminding y'all what really matters, man. Keeping stuff binary, man. Like, it's X's and O's. It's ones or zeros. Did the ball go in the goal or not? When we went fishing, did we put a fish in the bucket or not? Is it 2 fish in the cooler or not? Yeah, we might have had a good time out on the water. Yeah, it was camaraderie. But what are we getting at the end of the day? And are people really just so misguided by being entertained for all of this time that they get distracted by all of the different conversations, and at the end of the day, nobody's keeping score? You'll have people who see the whole ebbs and flows of a whole game, like I guess like the Philly and Atlanta game, and then be like, oh, I didn't see the end, I saw the highlights. And then go back and report on it. Yeah, I was saying that about people in the sport of boxing. You'll have somebody on a major platform who didn't do anything but watch highlights, and they'll have a major voice on a major stage to be able to talk that talk. Now, they might be good at throwing darts, but that's not responsible. And what I'm saying when it coming down to Matchroom and everything they got going on, and a lot of the signings, and when I look at it, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're getting these brothers a bag. But are you using them to play keep away? I mean, the writing's on the wall. I've been persistent. I was one of the first ones to say, hey, man, it's a case study going on. Look at Andre. And all that time, people said, yeah, because we understand, man. At that time, everybody who was keeping it a buck, they say, yeah, if you go over there, unless it's guaranteed that you got Canelo in the bag or Triple G in the bag, unless that's guaranteed. If you going over there, that means you really kind of like running away from smoke, right? And a certain boxer took a lot of flack for that. A lot of flack. Pulled out of a fight with a major name, which maybe could have altered the career, put it on a different trajectory. But there's history of this boxer, Boo Boo Andre, going over there. There's history of when he went over there, there were no names locked in. So I said, you know, because I am a believer that those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. I was like, well, dang, let me learn thine history. So I'm like, okay, cool. What can I draw from the whole experience? Because to this day, people still taunt Boo Boo for Canelo turning him down and using English, broken English at the point in time, to belittle that man and said that he was horrible. We talking about Olympian guy, you know, a guy that was like, he was an awkward guy, southpaw that could, you know what I'm saying, get down, with skill, athletic, could use his power, known to pretty much knock everybody down early, but some say he might have gassed out and all this and all that, but I'm not getting into all that. But there was history in the history books of that, and people just brush over it, or whenever they bring up his name, it ain't never nothing positive. It's like, why y'all gonna find out what's going on with him? Has there been an Andre sighting? But it's easy to do that, and I want people right now, I want young people to know that's watching boxing. I want these boxers out here that's listening, or maybe somebody might send it to them, or they might hear it, to know that this is what happens. When you lose, or you lose your O, you go sign with the wrong place, they tuck you away, they play keep away with you. This is what happens. Andre is a case. Now, he came back, he was given some opportunities. It wasn't that, you know what I'm saying, it didn't go out that well. I mean, he got with the mom Nicholson, you know, he got with Caleb Plant. I mean, he got with Boo Boo. I mean, Benavidez. and he wasn't that active. And that's what I'm starting to see. I'm starting to see that a lot of times, man, it starts with them being able to stall you out. Like once they start stalling you out, and then life happens because you're getting a little bit older and all that. Once they stall you out, there's a whole segment out there about Jamal Charlo, and I said, did they age him out? And I said it way early before they did it, but I spotted it in real time, and I put a landmark down, a place in the ground. And it's appalling to me that nobody's really following this whole Boots thing like they should, man. Nobody's following this Boots thing. Cookie Monster, sounding good, body work. I appreciate that. Melazar Consaber, I got the Mets. Salute, Melazar. But nobody's really following this whole Boots thing. And I'm like, well, maybe I have to go back into the whole curriculum again, because people are infatuated with talking about a fight that just happened and pitting everybody against each other, like just splintering everybody. It's almost like you got to see it coming, because, I mean, they trying to push this agenda to get people to go against Bud, and they trying to drive wedges. I'm like, see, this is why we don't get the fights. This is why we don't get the fights, man. They'll pull you in so many different directions. They'll spin you around like a bottle top.
How long?
And then that's it for you. But let me go ahead and get through this part of the curriculum, because I understand that when I don't do this, maybe you don't walk away from anything, but hopefully you still will. But I was going back into the gaslighting, just like I went back into the bread and circuses. But I have to go back to the gaslighting. Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation that involves deliberately feeding false information to a victim, which can lead them to question their memory, perception, and sanity. Some tactics that gaslighters use to manipulate memory include countering. Gaslighters may question the victim's memory by saying things like, "Are you sure about that? You have a bad memory." Denial. Gaslighters may deny something that the victim knows is true, such as saying, "I never said that," when they did. Twisting facts. Gaslighters may change key details in events or stories, making the victim question their memory. Withholding information. Gaslighters may refuse to listen or pretend not to understand, which can make the victim doubt their expression. Let me read that one again. Withholding information. Gaslighters may refuse to listen or pretend not to understand, which can make the victim doubt their expression. Diverting. When confronted, gaslighters may switch topics or cast doubt on the victim's ideas. The old switcheroo. Oh, we're going to, you know what I'm saying? Just like in boxing. Oh, okay, you used to that rhythm. Let me switch it up. Diverting. When confronted, gaslighters may switch topics or cast doubt on the victim's ideas. Gaslighting can be particularly harmful because memory is not a perfect recording of events. Over time, a gaslighter manipulations can become more complex and potent, making it increasingly difficult for the victim to see the truth. Yikes. Don't you know that, like, the longest players, you know, the long con, man. The people who stay around, popular and good with everybody all the time. Gaslighting can be particularly harmful because memory is not a perfect recording of events. Over time, A gaslighter's manipulations can become more complex and potent, making it increasingly difficult for the victim to see the truth. You allow yourself to be gaslit over a sustained period of time, man, you're only doing it to yourself, man. I'm not gonna preach, man. I'm not gonna preach. But that is part of the curriculum, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into this whole boot situation. Just understand that we're in a day and time where gaslighting is real, it's relevant, it's present, and a lot of people are doing it when it's going around. Like they are splintering the community. Like boxing, man. If you don't realize this, listen. If you don't get behind and support and express yourself about the fighters you want to see, then you agreeing with everything that's going on. Silence is consent, man, and it's a lot going on with our people, man. I'm talking about if you down there in Atlanta, if you from Norfolk, if you in Philly, if you up there in Brooklyn, if you out there in San Diego, if you in Houston, Dallas, St. Louis, Chicago, like if you down in Columbia, South Carolina, like you know somebody that box, you know somebody that put their work in, you know somebody that you want to see. Like I don't think y'all realize what's going on with the sport, man. If you don't talk about your people and the talent and what's going on, man, like we'll be having all these stories or what happened to this one and what happened to that one. But nobody's really keeping track of what's going on. I say, hey, let me do it then. I know content is low and hard to come by, I suppose, because we keep getting these refried beans, whole bunch of fantasy fights, a whole bunch of riling people up with imaginary stuff and dividing and pitting each other against each other. And we don't even really see what's going on before our very eyes. Before our very eyes. I'm letting y'all know I'm here. I'm here. I'm about to just do some work. So, let's look at this. This is the question. Is Eddie hustling backwards? That's the question. Like, this is what we're going to come to. I guess by the time we go through all of the information I have today, we're going to come to a conclusion. I think we're going to find out the conclusion very early. But we're going to play it out. We're going to, go over all of the facts and details, and we're going to, get through it. You know how long these segments normally be. I ain't going to keep you long. You know what I'm saying? I ain't here to circle jerk with you. I ain't here to pull your chain. I'm just here to break down a couple of things. Is Eddie hustling backwards? And if you look in the background, that's Boots. Boots is pulling his weight. Boots doing his thing. Boots is waiting. Boots got his hands. He wrapping his hands. He like, listen, man, I'm ready to go. Out of, 32 fights. I done knocked out 29 of them. You said you was going to make me a star. This is all I needed. You was going to be my trampoline. What's going on? So at the top, you got Boots. He pulling his own weight. At the bottom, you got Eddie just trying to push it up, trying to get it up over the hump. Now, you got me some bread on my last joint. But how the freak are you going to get me out of this one? You did me right in my hometown. Like, when my first day back, okay, cool, that's traction, that's great, that's epic. But then some things happen. And, you know me, I have to always qualify. I always have to qualify my sources because people be saying I'm hating. I'm like, we all using the same sources and I'm deducting something different than you. How the world can I be wrong? So I gotta put out my copyright disclaimer. It's not mine. I'm citing fair use. But the question is Eddie hustling backwards. Let's see. Let's see. What's the first one I want to do, right? This one. So this is where we at, right? Boxing News 24. And I have to use these to qualify the opinions that I've already had and expressed. You can go back and look in the history of the videos. I just come back and qualify when somebody come out and put them on paper. How about that? So I'm just qualifying the video that if you go back and look at the notes, if you look at the timelines, if you can go across some crumbs, some trails, some breadcrumbs, you can get back to it. So I got to use these type of things to qualify the opinions that I've already expressed. We just going to stay on the job. Okay? Eddie Hearn negotiating with Karen Chukasian team for boots. Bam doubleheader in Philadelphia. Daniel McGlinchey. I ain't never heard of a McGlinchey, but salute to McGlinchey. 9/17/2024 was 14 comments on this article. Eddie Hearn is asking IBF mandatory Karan, his team, to allow the fight against Jaron Boots Ennis to be staged in Philadelphia as part of a doubleheader with Jesse Bam Rodriguez on November the 9th. Hearn is in this predicament of needing to ask Chukasian's team to make the fight in Philadelphia because he lost the purse bid. If Hearn had put the money down to win the bid, he wouldn't have had to negotiate. In the end, it would have been less costly for Hearn if he'd won the bid. Eureka! There's a lesson for the Matchroom promoter. Think in the long term without considering future consequences. Eddie Hearn wasn't so concerned about saving a little money. He would have won the purse bid for the Boots Ennis versus Karan Chukasian fight. It will be bad for Boots Ennis if he's forced to fight Chukasian in Germany on November 9th, because that could spoil Hearn's plan for a doubleheader with WBC super flyweight champion Jesse Bam Rodriguez defending against Pedro Guevara in the co-feature. With Bam Rodriguez off the card and Boots fighting Chukasian alone with a skeleton crew on the undercard, it won't bring in good numbers on the zone. If Hearn was considering placing Boots' November 9th fight on pay-per-view, he could forget about that. Fans won't pay to see a dreary rematch between Ennis and the defensive artist Chukasian. We're talking to Chukasian's team. I'm going to say Karan. Really, we want him to unify. But we can only do that if we take the Chukasian fight, said Eddie Hearn to the Boxing News channel about Jaron Boots Ennis' next fight on November the 9th. In the end, Hearn could wind up paying Team Chukasian a lot more money for them to come to Philly than if he simply won the purse bid. Again, Hearn is short-sighted with his view of things. And I gotta read that again. In the end, Hearn could wind up paying Team Chukasian a lot more money for them to come to Philly than if he simply won the purse bid. Again, Hearn is short-sighted with his view of things. He could have avoided the Chukasian fight altogether if he had negotiated a unification match for Boots Ennis with WBO Welterweight Champion Brian Norman Jr. by giving him the extra $500 that he wanted. Again, This is another example of Hearn's short-sighted view of things. He is unwilling to invest money without seeing the long-term consequences of trying to save a few quid. So we probably would take that fight with Chuka John and see if Brian Norman can wake up, or if not, try and fight Stanionis or Barrios, said Hearn. Boots is in no rush to move to 154 before he unifies. Boots is in no rush to move to 154 before he unifies. So for me, I like him to do that. But it would mean going through with that fight. Chuka John. For the next round of negotiations with Hearn, Brian Norman Jr.'s asking price will likely increase from $2.2 million that he wanted this time. Once Norman Jr.'s turn into another sparking performance in his title defense against Derek Cuevas on November 8th, he might want in the ballpark of $3 million for a unification fight with Ennis. In other words, Hearn will have missed the boat by being too cheap when negotiating with Norman Jr., wrecking Boots' chances of ever becoming undisputed champion at welterweight. We take the fight now. He wants that fight bad, said Hearn, about whether Boots Ennis will move up to 154 if the fight against Terrence Crawford were offered to him. So they still claiming they want that bud smoke. Crawford versus Ennis fight would never happen because Hearn would never be able to negotiate that matchup without his excellency. I can't even say it. See how my mouth ain't want to say that, man. Without Sugar Daddy Sheik stepping in to come in with the finances. With Hearn, nickel and diamond in trying to negotiate deals on Boots Ennis' behalf, he would never be able to put together a fight against Bud. The Nebraska natives would likely want $20 million for a fight against Boots Ennis, which would put Hearn in a state of shock. So in hindsight, in real time, when I was like, hold on, man, don't go too far off on the Normans. Let's look at this whole thing, man, because people love to trash a fighter. I told you how they did Boo Boo Andre after he lost. Like, you ain't even hearing him. But he wanted this young boy that was 23 years old to go over there and fight him. All he was asking for, what the article said, was an extra little $500 altogether. But if you look at it in the history books, what Boots need right now, if you really a Boots fan, if you really are hardcore and you really want what's best, is he needs something so that these guys can stop using the excuse of you bring nothing to the table, especially when the bag ain't right. When the bag ain't right. So you can't be out here shortchanging, lowballing, not giving people what they want. And as fans, dumb fans, all they're going to say is, oh, man, you should have just took that, because they're living like they would be making the money. You got to separate yourself from that. It's like, no, if you were in that position and you had all that to lose, in the climate of boxing today, we got to evaluate it by, remember I said we keep score here, like balls going in holes. Like, so if we don't know if this man going to have to drop the belt. We don't know if he's going to have to go to Germany. We don't know if he's going to come over here. He's going to miraculously do it. I think that they're going to have to put, you know what I'm saying, they're really going to have to save face and come out and be like, man, we had to pay Karan something nasty. So then I look at it and I ask myself, I say, okay, cool. Even if you got to pay Karan, get Boots back in Philly at a bare minimum. Like, after everything's said and done, okay, if you want to point a finger at Norman and say, oh, they didn't take that, they denied us of a fight, okay, cool. Y'all go sit over there. Everybody else stick with me, right? If we're looking back at Boots and we're saying, okay, what's your next move? If you wind up dropping that belt, you're going to be playing the same politics against the guys at 154, because they're going to look at you and say, what do you got to offer? What has he done? What has he done? It's like, no, he might go oops upside your head, and Eddie and them ain't sprinkling down enough bread. Enough said. But anytime somebody mention your favorite fighter, all y'all do is see red. Calm down. Relax. We got to look at Eddie and what he's been doing here lately, man. These guys keep signing these contracts where they're signing these contracts and they're not getting names to go along with the contracts. Like, you should know when you sign, like, okay, I'm getting this one, and this one. And if you do know and you're not telling us, don't gaslight us like we don't know that. Because most of the time we think that you know, but then you got to play it close to the vest because you've been told not to confirm it. So either way you play, stop playing us. But a lot of people are going over to the Matchroom. Nobody's keeping score at what Eddie is actually doing. Now, we give him credit. Because remember, he got that Berlanga joint. Big time. Because who would have thought Berlanga, like all the people, like Berlanga waited till, I can't say waited till. Berlanga conveniently was moved into Mr. David, the talented Mr. David Morrell's spot after David Morrell moved up to pursue David Benavidez. He moved into the WBA spot, and lo and behold, Canelo Alvarez picked that spot. The mandatory that the talented Mr. David Morrell was sitting in all that time. Since 2021, defending the mandatories under that strap. Soon as he go up to 75 and he lose momentum by not looking at, like normal, because he did move up a weight. You talking about grown men that box. Boom. His reputation ain't there. He moved out of the way. Now, we got to look at the recency bias thing. There's a lot of people that's going to be heavy on Edgar Berlanga, and I'm like, cool. He represented. He did his thing. He beat the odds. You know what I'm saying? And again, I say he didn't do any, he, in the way of moral victories, like, yeah, he got a moral victory. But most of the time, people don't do moral victories in boxing. Why? Because of the odds. We went over this a lot of the times. But this is an example of what, see, if the top is doing this and having this kind of behavior and doing these kind of actions and selecting these kind of fights based on criteria, you never know what criteria it is that an opponent is going to use. So what can you eliminate, Boots? You can eliminate that the people that's repping you is going to send that and slide that cheese, send that bread. You can eliminate it with the money, right? You can eliminate it with the money, because if you're going to send that cheese and slide that bread, you can sit up there and point the finger at the other guy. But as long as they're able to say, oh man, that money ain't right, as long as they can able to see, because you already know, like, people are going to want money to fight Boots. Like, is that something, like, is that rocket science? They're going to want some bread to fight him. Out of 32 fights, he'd have knocked 29 people out. Video game style sometimes. Granted, you can say whatever, because everybody say, oh man, they say the same thing about Tank. Everybody fighting cans. Hello, well, people like Tank Boots, they pretty much, they denting and kicking and crushing them cans. Like, if everybody's doing it. Some people going the distance and complaining and talking about artwork after the fact, and they ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, they hit hard and stuff like that. So I don't know, as boxing fans, my antennas are a little, you know what I'm saying? But I stay grounded, so I know what's going on. I'm asking everybody to actually look at what's going on with Eddie. Consider what this article is saying, and let's look at it, because in real time, we were so distracted hanging up the Normans in them tail with a flashlight, we was never looking at what's going to go on with Boots. And ever since then, even whenever Brian Norman and them, they pop their head out, they get all this flack, but we still don't know what's going on with Boots. That's our talent that Eddie is responsible for. That's a Philly talent that he's responsible for, that we entrusted him with. Like, we don't want this man to be played keep away with. You got all these options. Is Devin gonna go ahead and make, where's the bread to get Devin and him to do it right away? Like, I mean, what's the problem? If you're talking about pound for pound and this and that, but it's too many people over there on that side, and this is the other aspect of this that we gotta look at. And I promise you I'm gonna come out, but I'm not done. I gotta get through the old nuts and bolts before we get to the stupidity, because if it's referring to something that's going on right here, right now in this segment, then I mean, I'm just gonna have to ignore you. This is the only other thing I got. This is the only other thing I gotta, but not the only other thing. But the second one, this is Matchroom. This is what I'm seeing, and the reason why I know it's updated because we'll get down to the bottom. But this is somewhat updated. Now, some of these are not all, but this is what I want us to look at. Let's see. This is what I want us to look at. Let me make sure everything looking good. This is what I'm really trying to get us to look at. All right. All right, these are the fighters, right? These are the fighters, right? These are the, well, this is the world champions right here. Katie Taylor, so Ennis is up there as a champion. Jesse Rodriguez, he's a champion. Shakur Stevenson, champion. Alicia Baumgartner, Terry Harper, Liam Paro, Sandy Ryan, Ellie Scottney, Jai Opatai, Scott Nicholson, Brianna Dixon, Beatrice Ferreira. Here go all the boxers. Aaron Bowen, Alicia, Andy Cruz. That's one of our guys. Andy Cruz, right? Anthony Joshua, Akeem Fiaz, Austin Williams. That's another guy from over here. He going on Billy Joes and Callum Smiths and French and Cameron Vaughn. I seen him fight. That young man looked like he nice. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he really a 30. I don't know if he a 40 or a 35er because he's never technically been under 35, but they got him listed at lightweight. But he looking like a 140, 135. He sucked down a little bit. But as far as what he had in the ring against him, that's something else. Seeing him earlier today on that advertisement they was doing for the Dubois fight. They got Campbell Hatton. They still had Canelo listed on there. They got Conor Ben on there. Shavon Clark, he's coming up. Craig Richards, people know him. Cyrus Pattinson, Dalton Smith, a lot of his name ring bells. People try to use him up, use his name when they want to bring about something. They got Wilder listed there. Diego Pacheco, that's one of the young guys. I think he's the future. If they keep, he like about 3 fights away, maybe. Like realistically. He's like 3 fights away, realistically. Dimitri Bivol, I call him the Matador. He exposed Canelo, and then right after that, he exposed Zerto. I call him the Matador for a reason, man. I don't got nobody really beating that guy. You know what I'm saying? Say what you want. Ebony Bridges, Edgar Berlanga, he got the mega fight. Eduardo Hernandez, Eduardo Nunez, Eli Scottney, Erica Cruz, Tito Mercado, Ernesto Mercado. That's the most recent guy. That's how I know that they had to do it recently because he just signed. So Tito Mercado, that's the guy I was saying that, listen, he's saying, all right, something, I'm signed, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, did you get some names? Did we get some names? We have no names. We don't know who they going to give him the fight. Fabian Rojas, Felix Cash, Herkovich is over there. Galal Yafai, I like Galal Yafai, man. That's a tough little dude. Gary Cully, he tough too, but he's straight, but you know, he got some flaws, but he be styling sometimes, you know what I'm saying? He got a lot of work to do. I know some of these guys, like a lot of these guys I watch. Joy Leonard, Viciole, Hamza, Uden, Opie Price, Ishmael Davis, Madrimov, they got him listed there. Jack Catterall, we know he coming up against Regis. Jai Opatai, Jaleel Hackett, DC man. They could have got a better picture of Jaleel, man. But Jaleel Hackett, man, was happy for him. But like, what's the plan? He got a Pete Dye, which was a good name, good start. Boots, he headline at home, but now we in purgatory. We in Matchroom purgatory with Boots because we don't know what's going on. It's like, man, it's all this stuff about money, which shouldn't be our concern. But I'm like, man, if dude knew what he had, you can't let money be the excuse for all of this, man. That's the promoter, man. That's the part that I say, man, Eddie can put you up in bright lights, but as far as that matchmaking and getting them deals across the line, like on the major ones, he did this Berlanga stuff, but I think that was more of a Canelo choice. But this is what I'm saying. We got to look at this stuff. Jesse Bam Rodriguez, excellent, wonderful job. Excellent, wonderful job. Now you seen Jesse and Boots, they on the intro. I call Bam the mechanic. Excellent job with Bam. Now we got a question, okay, Bam was gonna be the undercard of Boots. I'm like, ooh. My question was, if he was gonna be on the undercard of Boots, and let's just say the Quran fight, they don't negotiate, they playing hardball. Would it have been more reasonable to say, all right, well, shoot, let I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Because they won, man. They won the promotion. The other company won the promotion, man. They had the mercy of taking a deal, so he gonna have to spend some bread. Cordina, this is a guy that everybody was, everybody was looking at. Cordina. Now, Cordina is all right, man. He all right. I like Cordina's style, man. I like his style. It just nobody was expecting like him to get Shakur out of the blue coming off to the stoppage. You know what I'm saying? That's all. So he been catching strays and people been looking at him in a bad way, even though it's like it's not Cordina's fault. Like Cordina, like shit, I'm signing up. That's Shakur Stevenson. So I don't even blame Cordina for getting that fight. But then we seen what happened with Shakur. Joe McGrail, Joe Hedges, Johnny Fisher, Jordan Gill, Jordan Thompson, Josh Warrington, Joshua Buatsi, got Estrada. We already know who that is. Junaid Bostain, Justin Hooney, Katie Taylor. We know her name ring bells. Khalil Cole, that's another one. Now I think he's doing pretty good by Khalil. I think he's doing good by Khalil. I think that's a plus for Eddie. Kieran Conway, Lee Wood. Everybody know Lee Wood. You got Leonardo Rubcava, Liam Paro. You see Mark Castro there. Macy Rose Courtney. I don't know what's going on with Montana Love. Mauricio Lars there. He got Murajan Akhmadaliev. He's really trying to act like he's breathing down Inouye neck. You know what I'm saying? We'll see what happens. Pat McCormick, Pete McGrail, Ramla Ali, Ray Ford, that's another one. You know what I'm saying? Regis Prograis, that's another one. Now, he got Ray Ford up there. He got a championship. He kind of lined Regis up with Devin. You know what I'm saying? He kind of lined Regis up for that. Rhiannon Dixon, everybody, some people might know. Richardson Hitchens, that's my guy. I say he get a bum rep. Sandy Ryan, Shabazz Musad, Shakram Gilsav, Shakur Stevenson. Signed him and then he got injured. You're going to wait out. Shannon Ryan, Devinte Nutchinga, Scott Nicholson. Everybody know her. She nice. Sissoko, everybody, seeing him. Sabril Matias. They got a crazy looking picture of Sabril. That's my guy, man. Sabril Nomas Tias, man. We haven't heard anything. Prime example, man. Champion that went over there, didn't have no name set up. Was sitting around wondering what was going on. Had to, rehab initially when he got over there. Teofimo didn't want none. Sent the fake offer and made plans to fight Jermaine Ortiz, which nobody cannot knock that really for real. Jermaine Ortiz, he got it, but you got to knock it because unifications, that could have been a unification. No T.O. got lined up with Liam Paro. Now, Liam Paro did his thing. You got Yankee El Rivera, young Puerto Rican guy that they got a lot of, people are pulling for him to be the, one of the next best Puerto Rican things. He got some things he got to clean up, but I like his energy. And then, he'll put in some work. William Ortiz, William Corolla, Terry Harper, Sonny Edwards. Got a big test Sonny Edwards do. Zelfa Barrett. I like Zelfa Barrett. I like Zelfa Barrett, man. But if you look at these names, who are they catering to? And when you look at the names that actually, belong to, like our talent, Jalil, Boots, Shakur, Khalil Cole, you could say Jesse, Montana Love, Raymond Ford, Regis Prograis, Richardson Hitchens, Ammo Williams, Sabril Matias. What's going on? You acquiring all the talent, but where are the big fights? Are they manifesting? Are we keeping score? Are balls going in the hole or not? Or do we just get spent around and shooken up like 2 liters and then have our lids popped off? So who does it cater to? Who does it cater to? Let's see here. I'm about to get to the comments here. 1 second. I'm about to get to the comments. Let me see. I'm going to get to the comments in 1 second. Let me do this. Small. So, let me get to my comments. Let's see if we got what we got going on. And I'm just getting to the comment section now. Let's see. Let's get into the comments. Let's see, we deep in the comment section. So based on that article and us actually looking at the facts, removing your emotions from the situation, is Eddie hustling backwards, especially if he got to break his back to pay this guy. If he got to break his back to pay this guy, I'm about to be, let me see. Really trying to work my positivity in this moment. There we go. Let's see. C-Dub, salute body work. Eddie don't get no pass from me. Salute, C-Dub. Eddie Hearn signed the contract. You sound like one of those promoters. Yeah. Body work, what's going on, man? Did you give us fans your take on DSG last performance? Yeah, I said that he had no business taking a fight. That's why I didn't do that episode that I said I was going to do. Johnny Allison, that this episode, I said I did this episode was lined up for Friday, and I was saying who can be legend. And I actually said that I didn't do it because out of respect for Danny, because my prediction was that Laura was going to stop him. And I also showed the bet where I showed the bet slip where I actually got made a little, you know what I'm saying? I think it was like a plus 686. So out of respect for him, because like, we in a soft era, and if you give a good hard prediction like Laura's going to stop Danny for these 3 reasons, you know what I'm saying? People, oh man, you don't have no respect, and then the fact that Berlanga was, of the Puerto Rican, I was like, man, I'm not gonna sound like I'm gonna go against the grain. These guys, they going up against the odds. I mean, the odds said that, you know what I'm saying? The odds said as much, but as far as him getting stopped, I think that he has enough business. He has too many business, and he's living life outside of boxing. Like, if you're thinking, man, Danny was one of the last of the Mohicans because he was really part of that Sean Porter, Kell Brook, Keith Thurman, Danny. I think Earl was like slightly behind it. Bud is in that arena, but like that era is they all being for Amir Khan. They was all in that same kind of class and realm of people. And if you look at it, the ones that's not active, when they try to come back, eventually that's going to happen. So I think that was a business decision. He got businesses and lofts and stuff like that. I think he just had a baby. He got, his father just went through throat cancer and stuff like that. I think that punch resistance wasn't there. Laura got to touch them early. Danny felt that shit. He made a business decision early, like, nah, man, I'm not going out like that. Like, at will, Laura was going to be able to put his lights out. And Laura, he was just as vicious to say, you know what, I'm going to just frustrate him. Bow! Danny felt that shit and was like, nah, man, I got this life after boxing, cuz. That's how I felt about it, Johnny Allison, man. But salute for coming back to the building, man. You know what I'm saying? You pretty consistent. Good to see you back in the building, homie. C-Dub, Eddie Hearn ain't been doing a good job. You got to judge, you got to judge the big picture. You can look at the Berlanga fight, and then you can look at Shakur and what was getting ready to go on with that and what happened. Did the ball get in the hole? No. Now we're looking at this Boots. We waiting to see if the ball gonna get in the goal, but either way, it ain't the Normans. He didn't win the purse bid, so we don't know if the man gonna drop the belt. Then we heard about a low offer with Conwell. And it's like, if you are going to go to 54, you can't be lowballing, because the same politics you're going to run into at 47, which you are the same politics is going to be at 54. People going to want to bag to fight Boots. I don't know why people act like that's a mystery. You should have known that. You knew that was an issue when you got him, like when you signed him. Like, people going to want some bread. But then people say, oh, he ain't did nothing, he ain't fought nobody. But obviously, people want bread to fight him. I heard Fast Eddie lost over $500 million for his partners. Not sure if that's actually true. That had happened. That had happened a minute ago. That's why I be saying, man, people have short-term memory. I try not to be the one to keep, you know what I'm saying, really be the one that really put the stake in the ground and, you know what I'm saying, really put somebody under. But we have some short-term memories when it comes to certain promoters, and we won't let nothing go when it comes to others. And yes, he did lose a lot of money. I remember, I think it was 2 years ago. They had said that it was no more fight dates. I think it was like either August or the beginning. They said there was no more U.S. fight dates. I said, why would anybody in the United States go, or from over here, anywhere over here, want to go sign over there? When they said after that, well, I think it was like, let's just give them to the beginning of September. So from September to the end of the year, they said there were no more U.S. fight dates. And when really in business, that's the first quarter. That's really the first quarter of the business year. The way most people look at it, that's the last quarter of this year, but that's really the first quarter. That's the jump off. And no fight dates. But people forget. They don't judge. They like, oh man, yeah, Earn with Hearn and stuff like that. They say all of that. And I come back and I bust them up with that infamous question. Like, are they really? Where is that? Making American boxing great again. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like when you talking binary X's and O's, like balls and goals, was it a fish in my cooler or not? I don't know. When he received that $1 billion, yeah, back then, yeah. Billy Joe retired after the Canelo fight. That got his eye socket broken. Yep. I'm sorry to say it. Yep. I agree. Yep. Wow, what a roster. Looks great. Yeah. Yeah, I agree, man. I wasn't gonna make no noise about it, man. I was happy for Scooter. I saw the fight differently. I'm gonna be honest. I'm looking at what my eyeballs were telling me and what actually happened, what people justified it because they wanted that to happen. I'm like, as long as you have that, man, people can't win because when it becomes okay, you can kind of say it might have been an agenda for that man to win and for them to give it to him. But remember, that agenda ain't always going to be catered towards the fighter you want to win. So we might as well just go by what our eyeballs seen. And I think even my lady was saying, man, at the very minimum, it could have been a draw. Like, that's what everybody I heard said. They said at a minimum, that should have been a draw. You know what I'm saying? They wanted to get Scooter back on track, man. So I respect it, you know what I'm saying, to a certain extent for Scooter because who knows what would have happened, man, if it's, who knows what would have happened if it's life after boxing for some of these guys. This is their opportunity, so I guess the chips fell in his favor. But in the grand scheme of things, this is really a stake in the ground to try to say that, listen, it's not just me. I'm the one actually saying, okay, in hindsight, you can point all the fingers and get riled up with all these people online and be all divided with people down in Atlanta all you want. You can make it Philly versus Atlanta and then have Philly versus Chicago, and you can do all of that stuff. Meanwhile, the fans have not gotten the fight, and we all eyes on Eddie. It's not all eyes on me. It's all eyes on Eddie right now. Because he's playing, man, he got a lot of people, and then we hearing rumblings and things about Teofimo Lopez getting ready to go over there, maybe, possibly. I'm like, for what? And if you do it, what name are you gonna have? The time where these guys just going somewhere just to be doing something and because they know they're gonna get a bag, but get the names. Like when I go over there, the first time I'm going over there, I'm getting this guy. Then that second time, I'm getting this guy. And have that in names where we know, okay, well, I got a 2-fight deal. These are the 2 names. I got a 3-fight deal. These are the 3 names. With backup plans, contingency plans. Because it's not looking good when you paint this narrative like, oh, this guy overpriced himself or priced himself out, knowing that no matter what, you still gonna have to deal with the mandatory for this IBF strap. And the IBF is the last sanctioning body you really want to play with because they're the most thorough when it comes down to enacting their rules. They don't bend, they don't budge. That's why I said with the 10-pound rehydration and the way the IBF act, that's you gotta kind of credit those champions a little bit higher than the rest. Yeah, there's people that go over there because they can't get bigger than 10 pounds afterwards. You can't play the mandatory game over there. They're gonna take the strap. That's just how the IBF is. So you kind of gotta admire that, and you kind of gotta weight those champions a little bit higher. And that's just what history has been showing me. The WBA is right behind them because the WBA is enacting a 12-pound. I don't know what people are going to do when the WBC and the WBO actually say, okay, well, I'm going to do 12 pounds, or I'm going to follow the IBF and I'm going to do 10, and then one I'm going to do 15. Either way, they're going to get back to doing where you're going to have some kind of rehydration after that. It's the IBF with 10, the WBA with 12 now for the champion, unless it's a unification. And only thing that's left is the WBC and the WBO. So all of that, I'm a balloon up or whatever. It's going to make people get inside the weight class. I think they're trying to let the money set out, let people, get what they're going to get in position, and they're going to do that. They're going to do it. So we can cry about this stuff. We can move the goalposts on when we're going to allow somebody to be able to balloon up and when we're going to make it a big deal. Because in all of this praising of the mighty Nello, I was forced to go back and look, and I'm like, man, this man had his own weight class at 155 for so long. He fought so many people at 155. I'm like, what weight class is that? Is that almost like the 136 when Tank allowed Ryan to do that? It's funny how Canelo did that for so long. Ryan didn't have a belt. And Tank was the man still. I mean, as far as cash cow, still is the man. And we really inside the skills because it's showing because everybody got quiet. It's like Debo around. I'm like, dang, Debo got out, man. It's quiet as a motherfucker around here, man. It's like, man, I can't hear nothing. Like, it's radio silence out here, man. Ain't nobody saying they want no smoke with Tank right now. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm concerned about Boots, man. It looked like the Norman's gonna move on. But either way, I'm thinking it's gonna fight. It's gonna be a fight on November the 9th for those guys. According to that article, you know, he's gonna be fighting. But what it's gonna come down to, this is the question. If Eddie has to pay, because this is a shot of a lifetime, they kind of got you by the cojones, man. They won the purse bid. So they really kind of got him by the cojones. So if they don't get down, you're going to have to go fight in that man's hometown. And he might try to like show how big it is, or, you know what I'm saying? Or you're going to have to pay some extra bread, an exorbitant amount. And it'd be very interesting if that bread winds up being more than 500, because that was the court. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. According to the article, it was the 5 that could have put the deal with the Normans on board, and that would have been for unification. Because I was looking at the big picture. I was like, it got to be more creative than you running around talking about, oh, these guys know they want a King's ransom to be able to fight. It's like, no, you got to be looking at like, what can I do for Boots? The example I gave was when I got them 2 pythons, and when I got them, I had to have a habitat for them, and I knew that every three to them, at the most 5 days, I had to give them rat pups, and I had 2 of them. And as they got bigger, the rat pups had to get bigger, but I had to accommodate that. I can't just have these predators and not have enough to get what they need in the cage. So Eddie got to come to terms with the fact that you're going to have to pay to get what you need in the cage. And the other thing is, with Bam being on a thing, his thing is in limbo, and Bam he already got a lot of energy and a lot of momentum behind him. You can't slow that down or intertwine or intertangle that, because it was almost as messy as that Bivol and Baturbia when the Shakur stuff happening. How we kind of murky those waters. Don't murky nothing going on with Bam because of business that's going on with Boots, because he was supposed to be there. It'd be great if you'd have got Boots back in Philly with Bam on the undercard. Oh my God. Depending on them ticket prices, I'm in Baltimore, I'm there. But at the same time, and that's really because I want to see Philly boxing back. This is the last thing I want to do. I want to go over this, man. And this is something to think about, because I remember when I did the video about Jamal Charlo and I said, did they age him out? Like, most of the time, like, listen, when there's an agenda and there's certain key players and it's all about money, if those key players really have the game locked up, you can be sidelined or shelved until it's your time. If not, you got to grab the bull by the horns. You got to say, hey, man, Eddie, man, whatever it takes. Like, what we got to do to get this? Like, now, because I need the accolade now to get these guys to fight me. And then the real killing spree can go on from there. But you can't do it if you handcuffed by the money. But just to put something on everybody's mind before we get up out of here, you know what I'm saying? I'll drop the link if somebody want it. But just to put something on everybody's mind before we get out of here, I want to share this with you. The Fight City. Let me protect myself. Not mine. Fair use. Top 12 all-time greatest Philly champs. These are the shoulders that Boots are trying to attempt to stand on, man. Dwight Muhammad, the Camden Buzzsaw, Sonny Liston. He's not higher on the list because he could easily be called a St. Louis boxer. But Liston relocated to Philly in '57 and move that sparked his unstoppable assault on the heavyweight division. He knocked out Cleveland Williams, Zora Foley, and Roy Harris before taking the heavyweight crown from Floyd Patterson in 1962. For at least 5 years, he was a destroyer with underrated technical skill. Philly qualities, to be sure. Sadly, during the time, Philly didn't appreciate him, so they got him there, but they explained the story. Meldrick Taylor, an Olympic gold medalist, a world champion, and in his prime, one of the pound-for-pound best in the sport. Meldrick Taylor was an elite ring warrior, forged in the heart of Philadelphia gym. To some extent, his career will always be defined by his first fight with Julio Cesar Chavez and referee Richard Steele's decision to wave the fight off in the Mexicans' favor with only 2 seconds left. Man, that was just Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, with fast hands for any fighter, let alone a big man. That's back to 1905. Joey Giardello, he finally established himself as a top contender for title with a victory over an aging Sugar Ray Robinson. He defeated Tough Dick Tiger for the championship and successfully defended it against equally tough Reuben Hurricane Carter. So he fought Hurricane Carter, man. Remember that movie Hurricane? That's one of my favorite movies. Matthew Sahar Samad, the WBC lightweight champ for almost 3 years. Miracle Matthew. Benny Bass. None other than Jack Dempsey said he was the greatest fighter he ever saw. Balin Davinsky. His shorts are offensive, but that's how they used to do it back then. Tommy Laron. Jersey Joe Walcott. Born in Pennsauken, just north of Camden and right across the river from Philadelphia, Walcott might be the most stereotypically Philly member of the list, with the story that can't be beat. He had 4 shots at the heavyweight championship before finally winning it at the age of 37. Further, he'd been a pro for 17 long years before he finally got a chance at the world title. A split decision loss to the great Joe Louis, which pretty much everyone thought Walcott deserved, including the Brown Bomber himself, as a crestfallen Louis actually tried to lead the ring before the official decision was revealed. When the split verdict for Louise was announced, the champion went over to Walcott and said, "I'm sorry, Joe." Walcott would fall to the famous Louise Fish in their rematch, a defeat that was followed by 2 more title losses to Ezzard Charles, before shockingly, Jersey Joe won the title in try number 5 with a 1-punch knockout of the Cincinnati Cobra. The great victory taking place in Philadelphia. The win made him the oldest heavyweight champion in boxing history, but he lost the title to Rocky Marciano in his first defense. Ironically, also by violent one-punch KO, and also in Philadelphia, Jersey Joe did not have a long reign at the top, but his skill, perseverance, and win over such top talents as Joey, Maxime, Elmer Ray, Jimmy Bivens, and Harold Johnson made him one of the great Philly champs. This is history, man. This is on the shoulder of boots, man, and people were saying, so if this man, he could get another shot in Philly. Because it was impressive to know you had 15K in that stadium, man, and if to a regular, because people look up to Rocky, like, that was a movie, man, like, you know what I'm saying? But this is the history, and this is what I'm saying, like, we got to hold Eddie accountable for any talent he grabbing from over here and what he's doing from over there. As fans, you should be saying something. Instead of point, oh, man, don't nobody want to pay him. Well, pay him something. Joe Frazier, if this was a list solely about boxers with legit hard-won Philly cred, then without a doubt, Smoking Joe, who came to Philadelphia as a teenager and never left, would be number one. Think about it. Frazier was a fighter who in real life worked in a slaughterhouse and punched slabs of beef. He was the one who really did run up those 72 stone steps at the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Got a picture of Smoking Joe Frazier. In addition to all that, Frazier was a truly great champion in the greatest era in heavyweight history, with wins over Oscar Bonavena, Jerry Quarry, Jimmy Ellis, George Tuvallo, Bob Foster, and of course, Muhammad Ali. His legendary rivalry with the greatest is forever a part of boxing lore, and his achievements make his statue in South Philadelphia seem an inadequate tribute. And anyone who insists he has to be number one on the list will get little argument from me. And they got Frazier defeats Ali. Looking at him, man. That's a cold pick right there, man. Hard to be able to say you did that to the greatest, but any given night, man, the great ones took, you know what I'm saying? The great ones, they got it on, man. They suffered losses and came back, man. They wasn't scared to lose their old man. They just wanted to show that they were the man. Number one, Bernard Hopkins. It's hard to keep the executioner out of the top spot in this list of great Philly champions because for an incredible 20 years, almost all he did was win championship fights. He got his first middleweight strap in 1995 and defended it 20 times, beating the likes of Felix Trinidad and Oscar De La Hoya along the way, in the process becoming the first man to claim undisputed status in the four-belt era. When he was finally dethroned in 2005, he promptly moved up to 175 and won another title at 42 years of age. 42 years of age. That's about what Lara creeping up on that, you know what I'm saying? Like, but people would discredit Lara and say, oh man, no, Lara's holding it down. Underdog Hopkins outclassed Pavlik for yet another strap. That's Bernard B-Hop. 5 years later, he won another, in the process becoming the oldest boxer in history to win a world championship. And he will win more straps in 2013 and 2014, and he achieved all of this without being a blue chip prospect. A Philadelphia ex-con who didn't take up the sport until he was 18. So all that late start, this and that, man, didn't take it up till he was 18. And on the inside, Hopkins lost his first pro fight and his first 2 title shots. He had everything going against him when it came to him becoming a champion, until in fact he became one of the greatest in boxing history. There's a lot of belts. That's a great champion. Bernard wasn't an underdog who had a moment of glory, but an underdog who became the best for 2 full decades with wins over Glenn Johnson, Antonio Tarver, Tavares Cloud, Kevin Pavlik, John Pascal. That John Pascal, oh my goodness. And the bottom line for me is that is the most Philadelphia story I have ever heard. Joshua Izzard. It's a lot riding on these guys, man. You can let these people rile you up about, oh man, this guy should have took that fight, and this guy's ducking this person, and this blah blah blah, because they say, who was that? I think it's somebody I be online with all the time. I'm not taking credit for it. They say money talk and Bush run a marathon, don't they? That's just a little history, man. That's just history. This is a stake in the ground for what's actually going on, and whether or not Eddie's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Is he hustling backwards? Because wouldn't it be crazy that he got to pay Karan all that money just for us to see a rerun of that? When he could have just paid Norman, and he could have got a unified strike if that was the case. But we all know that he had to have this fight coming down the pike with Karan, and he didn't win the purse bid. So now everything's up in the air, and I wish we would get some answers. But I guess that's not intriguing enough for everybody. Bernard Hopkins is the LeBron James of boxing. Wow. So that's it, man. This is an accountability, man, for us to really sit back and watch and see what's really going on, man. What's really going on, man? Support the channel, though. Hit the like button, subscribe button. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts? I learned something today. That's what's up. I appreciate that, man. That's what it's for, man. That's what's up, C-Dub. I appreciate you saying that, man. I hope this. As long as you walk away with something, man. As long as you walk away with something, man. I mean, you take it on to your boxing conversations, you know what I'm saying, across the net, man. And let's just be accountable. Let's keep these people accountable for our talent, man. Because they mining us for our talent, and then our talent is getting mismanaged. We getting all worked up. It's division being started, and all this chaos introduced, man. And at the end of the day, we don't get the fights. We have people ready to pull up on each other. It's like, man, at least let the fighters fight before, you know what I'm saying? But this man got a lot of weight on his shoulders. This is a Philly fighter, man. There's a lot of hope in him. And then you see what happened with Danny, man. After everything Danny did, people are on Danny's neck because they like, you quit. And I'm like, hey, man, Philly don't quit, man. It's big show. Those are some big, broad shoulders, and that's not going to discount what Danny did, but like, it's a lot of people that's riding for boots, man. A lot of people that's riding for boots and pulling for boots, man. It don't matter if you were an Earl fan or if you a Bud fan, or everybody know that man had up next when it was, when that era finished, and that's where he at, man. We just asking, man, is Eddie? Just be honest in your assessment and ask yourself this question: Is Eddie hustling backwards when it comes to boots? Appreciate that, C-Dub, man. Great job, body work. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. This that fact-based content, man. It's not gonna get everybody jumping for joy. Not gonna have the congregation jumping for joy. You know what I'm saying? But body work gotta make that noise. We at the 120 mark. But yeah, that's it. That's all I had really today. Glad somebody got something from it, man. Let me know if you catch this on the playback. Talk to me. I'll talk back. Leave a comment. You know, a lot of the times, man, me and my subs, all subs matter, but me and my subs be going back and forth, and you know, based on where it's going, if they got a good point, you know what I'm saying, then shoot, I'll do something about it. If you raise a good point, you got something going on, you solution oriented, you know what I'm saying, then I do stuff around it. But it's a lot going on, man, and I really just record what's going on in the time and how I see everything. A little bit of logic and reasoning, man. A little bit of flavor. You know, and I do that body work. But thanks for everybody who, you know, came through and said what's up and engaged with your boy. Thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to